guilty as charged. It's so easy just to get caught up in that. I mean, for days I was quite upset about the fraudulent or the alleged apparent fraudulent, and actually it's probably proven fraudulentness in the American elections, and how just raw ambition for power drives people, and just how hideous that is as a thought. It doesn't right or wrong, or morality doesn't come into it. And so that really churned me up for quite some time. And so I was really unstill just on that planetary level. I think there are other issues with that as well, but I just really love that, and I just wanted to share that with you. I give this time of quiet to you. Please dissolve my thoughts of stress and fear, and deliver me to the inner place where all is peace and love. And I guess when we go inward, we have a chance in amongst all the unstillness out there of finding that peace. And this is the other starting point. I think Monday or Tuesday I saw this, and souls always connect at the perfect time and place to fulfill an emotional, physical, mental, or spiritual task or karmic bond. We are never connected to anyone just by chance. There is always a higher lesson and a deeper message from the universe. You attract what your energy vibrates. And so I think I said this last time I presented. There is no accident that all of us are here, today, and whenever we meet. That vibration, that karmic message of like attracts like, and our souls connecting in this way. I believe that very deeply, that it is meant to be, and this is part of our path and part of our journey while we are here. And I take great comfort in that, because to be blunt, God, there's a lot of idiots out in the world. They're asleep. And so it is comforting to find a place where like-minded souls can hang out, and in our weirdness, we can take comfort from each other. So I just wanted to start with those as a kickoff point, or a jumping point for this week's presentation. And as I have done, borrowing from the Heart Math Institute in the US, and made popular by Brian Scott and Greg Braden and a few others. So I'd invite you just to join me with this quick heart-brain coherence technique, because we all are aware of how easy it is to stay in our minds and ignore the heart. And as you all know, the heart is gentle but powerful. It's soft but true. The mind is often spiky and frantic, and it's easy to get caught up in that spikiness and that franticness in an unstill world. So I'll just invite you to shift your focus to your heart space and to your breathing, and to slow your breathing down. Just in for a count of 5, and out for a count of 5. I invite you just to touch your heart space, either with the palm of your hand, a finger, or a couple of fingers. Just to touch the heart space, and breathe from that place where you feel the touch, a little bit slower. Out, 2, 3. One more time, in for 5. And out for 5. And as you slow your breathing, you're sending a signal to your body in general, and your heart specifically, that you're in a place that it's safe and it's okay to turn your attention inward. So keep with that slow breathing from that heart space, that place where you feel the touch. And the next part of that is then to activate a positive feeling. So not from your mind, but from your heart center. To the best of your ability, make an attempt to experience and feel a regenerative feeling, such as gratitude, appreciation, love, or care for someone or something in your life. So create the feeling to the best of your ability from that heart space, and then surrender to that. And allow it to radiate from your heart space. Gratitude, appreciation, love, or care for someone or something in your life. I'll just breathe in one more time for a count of 5. And out for a count of 5. All right, and we're in our heart space now to begin. So I do like to start with Psalm 23, and this is I guess a more English translation than one straight from the King James version. But you're welcome to read along with me. The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And so with all of that said, as an introduction this week, I make a vow I won't show you any more cloud pictures, but I don't know, I just can't help seeing them. There are some messages from the heavenlies and from the Schumann resonance and from astrology as well. So we'll have a bit of a discussion about that. I've got a parable that's from a book called True Love. It's called The Fourth Mantra. And that's very much about wearing our masks. And that might be a bit confronting, hopefully it's provocative to get you thinking and looking inward. And it's tied very much to the DeMartini stuff as well, which we'll have a look at. As part of my shitty time this week that Warren alluded to, that I just didn't like the smile on his face as he said that. He was kind of enjoying my discomfort, but I wrote a poem today that I want to share with you because again, hopefully that will provoke some inward thoughts, some feelings within about your life and how you can come to that place of stillness in an unstill world. And then the Navajo Beauty Prayer from Greg Baden's book, The Wisdom Codes. That's really nice, and then his take on it too is special, I think. So I'll do an oracle card reading. I felt led to read from 2 different decks today. There's a couple of interesting things there, and then a couple of things. One that's very politically incorrect today, but what the hell, you can't take life too seriously. So as always, take that which resonates, leave everything else behind. And I think that's, like Warren and Grace were saying, that's one of the strengths of of hearing different people. Not everything resonates with everyone, and that's okay. So take that which resonates and leave the rest behind. All right, so the skies. On the 31st of October, we had some really wild storms here. So we had the sun breaking through at different times, which was putting out a sort of a real silver energy, a silver energy that then changed to gold. About half an hour after this photo was taken, we had a really weird light and sensation that really filled the sky, and the purpley, pinky, indigo-y color, really unusual. And so was that silver light, by the way. The way it was just poking through the clouds. It really caught my eye, and I just thought I'd share that with you. There are some weird things happening, and then it changed to a more mauve indigo, which was fascinating. How just in the space of those photos from the orangey mauve to the silver were taken probably no more than 45 minutes apart, I don't think, on the same afternoon. This was really interesting too. On the 11th of the 11th, I just saw this on someone posted this on Facebook. November the 11th is always a powerful day, but this is the first time in 101 years where it also occurs in a repeating number year, that is 2020. So November the 11th, or 11th of 11th, 2020. The portal flies wide open, making it the most potent manifesting day of the last century. 11 is the master number of supernatural intuition, spiritual connection, and rapid manifestation. In sacred geometry, the number 11 represents two pillars, a gateway which opens a direct portal between divine inspiration and physical materialization. So if you felt some big shifts on Friday, I think it was the 11th, or yeah, Thursday or Friday, you know, that there's a reason for that. This was the sunset on the 11th of the 11th, which was pretty incredible with the rays, you know, of the sunset. And so yeah, there's shit happening out there in the ether, in the rest of the world. The Schumann resonance has been you know, has been going nuts as well. I often look to that to see what you know, if it's just me or there is some stuff happening, and you know, that confirms, the science confirms the feeling, I guess. And then this morning, 36 o'clock. Now this is, we're about 3 weeks off summer. We normally get really strong northerly winds here. You know, it's usually really hot. Today, for whatever reason, we had this really unseasonal lot of fog. Yeah, I know, temperature inversion and all of that. I mean, I used to teach this shit in school, so the science behind it, I get, but the timing of the year around these different portals and things, you know, again, coincidences, yeah, or synchronicities. It depends on your perspective, I guess. But yeah, really weird to wake up to a dense fog like that, you know, which reduced visibility to probably 50 or thereabouts meters. Really, really unusual for this time of year. And the new moon today, this is really interesting too. This lady, Alonia Angelica, she said that this new moon today and tomorrow, it's all about facing your shadows, freeing yourself from childhood conditioning, company, lifestyle, and routines that isn't serving you for your highest good. Making changes. It's about healing family trauma. It's about speaking up. It's about setting boundaries. It's about being authentic, about doing the right thing. Not sure about that one and what that means, but it's also about flowing and adapting with change, creating new traditions, seeing from a higher perspective, showing up, stepping out of your comfort zone. Then she goes on, this new moon and the events that follows will bring up plenty of emotions within you. You will be made to become aware of your shadows that have been holding you back from your greatest self. Honor how you feel with no judgments. Own your power, your light, and your shadows, and move forward with love and confidence. So we had that that portal, the 1111 portal, on Friday or Thursday, whenever it was. And now we've got the new moon, and this is a blue moon as well. And that means it's the third moon in a month. You know, so there are some really planetary weirdo kind of things happening. And I saw this as well. It says universal energy is about to do a massive flip over the next 2 weeks. You can already feel it. Expect the unexpected. Karmic tides of change are rising to clear away situations and people that no longer share your divine paths. We are entering a whole new energetic gateway. And so in looking at that, I was kind of comforted in a way, because it's not just me being weird that I'm feeling it. Can I just have a yes or some comments? If you know, I'd love to not be the only one being weird and feeling it. Just in the chat box. Whoops, just in the chat box there. If you could just, if you've felt shifts over the last week or 3 or 4 days, I'd love to I'd love to hear. Where are they? Grace, I can't see the chat thing. It's disappeared again. I saw 2 people say something, I think, and then the chat box has disappeared from me. Can you read the chat?
Max says, yep, massive changes. William picks it up. Sam says yes. And I said definitely. And particularly, I don't know, something happened last night as well. Something, I picked up some massive change in the astral plane last night. Who else? That's it.
Okay. Well, that's a little bit comforting to me. I'm not the only weirdo out there. Good. Go on, Warren. Sorry. Yeah.
I actually agree.
Oh, Christine said massive shift on Wednesday, felt like a mask ripped off. And Lexi says, yes, shifts in awareness and integrating within my reality, not really focusing on collective energy as much, which is nice.
Nice. Yeah, and I guess last night what you were feeling, Grace, is that new moon. That new moon energy.
I was at New Moon because I actually got this 100% block out eye mask so that it allows me to sleep a little bit longer. And it didn't make a difference because I actually saw light through my mask, as in my eye mask.
Right. All right then.
I can show you all New Moon, guys.
Oh no, 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 no! Don't go there. Oh dear. So, all right, changes are happening. We don't need to see that warrant to confirm it. All right.
And Lexi said Mars went direct today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's shit happening, right? And I found there was this meme, I think on Monday or Tuesday I saw. So I'll just let you read that, which kind of sums it up. So yeah, it's about the stillness and be more like the dog than a frantic human, I guess. And that's, mind you, that's always a challenge, and that's one of the things that I guess I find frustrating, is that one day I can be feeling really good, and then the next day, like, the world's crashing down. And I suppose Grace would probably say, well, it's good because you're finally starting to feel your emotions, but it is disconcerting and uncomfortable. And I guess I've just got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. All right. I just wanted to share this as well. I've seen about this week about 4 or 5 different sources expressing some version of this, the great solar flash towards the end of the year. Again, I haven't had time to really look at it, but it says very soon humanity will experience a great solar flash, a cosmic event that will rise the frequency of our planet and therefore of our collective consciousness. The solar flash is an event that happens at the end of the precession cycle of the Earth, a 25,900 year cycle which is synchronized with the oscillation of the solar system on the galactic equator. The solar flash will lift the veil, that is to say, the energetic boundary that isolates the Earth from the rest of the universe and that keeps humans in a state of amnesia will dissolve. Once the veil is gone, humanity will remember its origins and will be in touch with spirit once again. We are currently experiencing a preparation for this event, which consists in the fade of the old vibration, the old system of control. A new Earth is welcoming us to the new age, the next step of our evolution. And so it's set to this great solar flash, and a little bit more that I read is supposed to happen on the winter solstice, which is, from memory, the 21st or the 22nd of December, the Northern Hemisphere winter solstice, this year. Now, again, I haven't tested or researched enough the validity of it, but I have seen it in several sources. So that's just, I guess, a heads up for something that might be coming up, and it might also explain, if it's this shedding of the old in preparation for the new, why we're feeling the way we're feeling now. Okay, so remember this: there's nothing wrong with you. I did like this when I saw this. You have patterns to unlearn, new behaviors to embody, and wounds to heal. But there is nothing wrong with the core of you and who you are. You are unlearning generations of harm and remembering love. It takes time. And that, I think, loops back to what I said before, in that I get quite frustrated with the up and down nature of it. And I know that first line says, remember this, there is nothing wrong with you. Oftentimes it feels like you're totally fucked up and your world is crashing down and you don't know anything anymore. But to me is a nice reminder that everything is okay and everything will be okay. And it is about unlearning. It's not just years, but generations of harm and remembering love, and that takes time. But I guess what's time in in a high vibrational sense as opposed to our earthly years here. I found this interesting too, this quote: "You are under no obligation to be the same person you were a year, a month, or even 15 minutes ago. You have the right to grow. No apologies." And I think when where that really relates to me is around family, friends to a lesser extent, but the people you spend most time with and you are closest to, you start going off on a tangent and being very different to who you were a week, a month, a year ago. That can be really confronting for our loved ones. And also for our friends. I mean, most of us will find that as we go on that journey, that our friends of lower vibrations fall away. It just happens to. That's just the way it is. But I did really like that you're under no obligation to be the same person you were a year, a month, or even 15 minutes ago. That growth is part of our journey here on Earth. And as it said, no apologies for that. It's kind of ironic. I think you teach most what you need to hear yourself, because I've been fighting both of those concepts in particular this week. So yeah, I'm not by no means am I preaching that from on high, because oh God, it's been a fucked up week. So yeah, it's just a really important reminder in a more centered moment for me. It's nice just to have that little bit of direction. All right, and then Ralph Waldo Emerson, probably my all-time favorite poet, he says, "Nature never hurries. Atom by atom, little by little, she achieves her work." And again, looping that back to me and my journey, being the arrogant Aries male, I just want things done and hurry up and done and make it happen, and it all go okay. And okay, we've dealt with that problem. Let's move on to the next one. But it doesn't work like that. Spirit, nature, Gaia has different plans. You peel one layer off and you think you're fine, and then it just fucks you up again. You go, oh God. And note to self. And again, note to self. I love this too. I disappear a lot. Being close to me means honoring that I often need to disappear into myself, into spirit, into silence, and not taking that personally. I've actually sent that to all my kids and my wife, and it's taken a long time, but it's almost I'm at that point where I can just say, look, just fuck off and leave me alone, and not worry about that causing offense, because I need that time. As an empath, as a creative, I need that time alone to go away and just be with myself and be with my thoughts and be in stillness. And again, as we've got bills to pay, clients, or jobs to go to, chores around the house, it's easy to get caught up in the unstillness of things. And it's always a comforting reminder to know that it's okay to be by myself, to disappear, to go inward, to not have to talk, to not have to decide, just to be there, to be still, to let the messages come. And so, but the problem, I think the problem is sometimes that can be awkward, because there are times when, if I'm with a big group, I've just had enough and I just need to go by myself somewhere. Sorry, folks, I don't mean that personally, but I just need to be alone. So I'm still managing that as well. But yeah, I just wanted to share that one, because if ever you felt like that, like you've almost got to apologize for just not wanting people around you, you don't have to. And again, that's something that I'm learning along this journey. All right, just a last couple of things then before we really get into it. I did like this as well. To protect your energy, it's okay to cancel a commitment. It's okay not to answer a call. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to want to be alone. It's okay to take a day off. It's okay to do nothing. It's okay to speak up. It's okay to let go. And I don't think we can actually heal and partake in soul healing until we do things like that are in our best interest, but do them without guilt. that's been one of my biggest challenges, is that again, being an empath, it's been a life pattern for me to always, or the pain of putting my needs last is less than the pain of someone else's disapproval. You know, I mean, that's horribly self-destructive. And I don't know if anyone else can relate to that, but it's certainly been a life pattern for me. You know, the pain internally, easier to deal with than someone's chagrin because you haven't done what they wanted you to do. And I'm actually flipping that around. Again, it's not an instant switch because there's a lot of unlearning to do. Just a really quick example, I had a client ring me on Friday, I don't know, about 11 or 11:30. We'd been playing tag, and I just went, oh, fuck, I don't want to talk to you today. And I just texted him and said, I'll call you Monday. And that's fine. I mean, the old me would have gone, oh, okay, I'll just get the other way and over and done with, even though I didn't want to. It sounds really, really childish, you know, manage your time kind of thing, but it's your life, your world. But it's a habit that I'm really working hard to break. Don't always get it right. Maybe you can relate to that, maybe not. And the great Johnny Cash, I love this. I'll be doing a lot of whatever the fuck I want lately, and I like it. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of that too. Are there any feedback or comments or thoughts on my opening thoughts about just trying to get that stillness in an unstill world? Anyone got has that brought up anything for anything? Anyone got anything they would like to share about changes of habits or routines or anything like that? Either Mike or in the chat.
Yeah, Steve, I'm happy to share. A lot of that, almost all of what you said resonates with me. And I think the pain of putting myself last is less than putting others first is really a big one, because I've always been a person that rushes around and does what everyone else wants to the point where sometimes I don't even know what I want to do. But there's always that sort of tension. And I actually had an experience last night where I felt obligated to go out with Bernie to some social event, but I really didn't want to go. I was feeling tired and wanted my own space and all that stuff. So eventually I decided I wouldn't go. And it was amazing how much the heaviness lifted off me just because I made that decision for myself. So it's not something that I can do all the time, but I'm gradually increasing the number of times I can do that. So I really resonated with you when you said that. And the other thing that really stood out for me was when you said nature never hurries. I really like to. It's sort of like a pressure to get something done. But the actual fact is that when you don't get it done, that minute doesn't really make any difference. So I'm trying to work myself into that one as well. Yeah, so all of the things that you said pretty much resonated with me this morning. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Christina. One, it's comforting to know I'm not the only weirdo. And just as you said that, Christine, what also came up for me was how when we do that stuff, we kill ourselves, or at least a small part of ourselves, and it does fill me with despair that I have done that all my life. You know, that put others first, the pain of putting yourself second or last being less than the pain of disappointing someone else. And it is such a hard pattern to break. And you know, we have had many discussions around this, but it's still painful. It's still difficult to do, I think. So good for you. Good on you. Go, you weirdo.
It is really, really, it is really, really difficult to do. And I think in my case, it's a gradual training of other people that seems to work here. But each time you do it, I think acceptance comes that that's how you are.
Yeah,
So,
thanks.
big thing to do.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Christine. That's really good. Is there anyone else? No? Okay.
You can't read your chat still, Steve?
No.
Okay. Lexi says, yes, all of that resonates with me. I'm also more so having to learn it's okay to not have someone giving me attention. That's a big one. Someone giving me attention, and being alone is okay and very beneficial. Also, not people pleasing and being a savior for everyone this year has been very freeing for her. So that's a huge one.
Yeah.
Stop being a savior for everybody. And Sam says, I've definitely been on that same journey as you, Steve, over the past few months. It's good being able to do what you feel you need to do for yourself. Alex says, I woke with a mantra running through my head saying, I'm more and beyond this physical world. I fell into a few times and just let go and let things work themselves out with the right timing. P.S. I worry when I don't. P.S.S. I worry when I don't feel like a weirdo.
Yeah, it's really, thanks for that, everyone. That's one. It's comforting. I'm not the only weirdo, not the only one who are struggling with this kind of stuff. But you know, we do. It's, well, maybe not we do, but it's easy to default to that worry, and it's easy to default to that. It's got to happen in my 3D time when I think it should. And I just wish a lot of this was like a band-aid. You just rip it off, a little bit of pain, then you're fine. But it's almost like you rip a band-aid off of this, and then you're fine for a while, and you look back down, and the band-aids come back, and you've got to keep ripping it off and ripping it off and ripping it off. So, yeah, thanks everyone for those thoughts. That really resonates, and I do love that quote. I've been doing a lot of the whatever the fuck I want lately, and I like it. So that's got to be one of my mantras moving forward for the rest of the year, and actually no, fuck that, the rest of my life. So yeah, all right. Let's begin. And I guess as a backdrop to that, and I think Warren shared this on Facebook and in the message chat, that anything unresolved within our energy field will keep manifesting itself in our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual life until we heal it. There is no escaping this. Face it, feel it, and heal it. And those patterns that we were just speaking of then are a really good example of that, because if we just do what we've always done, we're not facing anything, we're not feeling anything, we're not healing it. You know, it's so easy to tell yourself, oh, that's okay, I can go along to that dinner, or oh, that's okay, I can say yes to XYZ when I don't want to. It's easy to talk yourself out of doing what you want. And I guess my message to self and to everyone is that you know, that doing whatever the fuck you want and liking it is a way of healing it, is a way of facing it and feeling it and healing it. And so I have got I think three lots of stimulus, if you like. Well, it's just 11:11 as I say, sorry, 1:11 or 11:11 in your time, as I say that. And it does, a lot of that does get back to what we've spoken about, the masks. You know, and what Christine was talking about there was the dutiful partner. You know, the people pleaser, those sorts of things are really strongly ingrained in us. And I want to take a more uncomfortable look. It comes from this book. It's a parable from the book called True Love by Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a Vietnamese Buddhist. And it's called the fourth mantra, and it's all about overcoming pride and suffering, and pride and suffering is just a form of a mask. And I just want to read the parable to you, and just have you consider what that brings up for yourself, and the tragedy behind it, because for me, it's a very human story, in that this is how humans behave, and it's destructive, and it's killing of ourselves. And so it starts off with a young man. So this is the setting is a village in Vietnam. It's a parable from Vietnam. So a young man went off to war, leaving his pregnant wife behind. 2 years later, he was able to return home, and the young woman went with their young son to meet her husband. They cried together out of joy. In Vietnam, in our tradition, when an event of this kind takes place, it has to be announced to the ancestors. So the young father asked his wife to go to the market to buy the things that are needed for the offering that is placed on the altar to the ancestors. Such an altar is found in every house. Each morning we burn a stick of incense to our ancestors on this altar, and in this way we make a connection with them. Burning this incense, adorning the altar with photographs of our ancestors, and dusting the shrine off are very important gestures. These are moments in which we come into contact with our ancestors. There are people living in the world who are completely uprooted because they do not practice such a turning toward their ancestors. So the story goes on. So the young wife went off to the market. During this time, the young father was trying to convince his child to call him daddy. The little boy refused. "Mister, you're not my daddy. My daddy is somebody else. He visits us every night, and my mummy talks to him every night. And very often she cries with him. And every time my mummy sits down, he sits down too. Every time she lies down, he lies down too." After he heard these words, the young father's happiness entirely evaporated. His heart turned into a block of ice. He felt hurt, deeply humiliated, and that is why, when his wife came home, he would no longer look at her or speak a word to her. He ignored her. The woman herself began to suffer. She felt humiliated, hurt. When the offering was placed on the altar, the father burned the incense, recited the prayers to the ancestors, and did the 4 traditional prostrations. Then he picked the mat up instead of leaving it there for his wife so she could do the 4 prostrations in her turn. In his mind, he thought that she was not qualified to present herself before the ancestors, and she was humiliated by this. After the ceremony, he didn't stay at the house to eat, but went to the village and spent the day in a bar. He tried to forget his suffering by drinking alcohol, and he did not come back to the house until very late at night. The following day, it was the same thing. This went on for several days in a row. The young woman could not take it anymore. Her suffering was so great that in the end she threw herself in the river and drowned. When the young father heard this news, he returned to the house, and that night he was the one who went to get the lamp and lit it. Suddenly the child cried out, "Mister, mister, it's my daddy, he's come back." And he pointed to the shadow of his father on the wall. "You know, mister, my father comes every night. Mummy talks to him, and sometimes she cries, and every time she sits down, my daddy sits down too." In reality, this woman had been alone in the house too much, and every night she had talked to her shadow. "My dear one, you are so far away from me. How can I raise my child all by myself? You must come back home soon." She would cry, and of course, every time she sat down, the shadow would also sit down. Now the husband's false perception was no longer there, but it was too late. His wife was already dead. A misperception is something that can destroy an entire family. The Buddha told us a number of times that we are subject to misperceptions in our everyday life. Therefore, we have to pay close attention to our perceptions. There are people who hang on to their misperceptions for 10 or 20 years, and during this time, they continue to suffer and make other people suffer. Why did the young father not want to talk this thing over with his wife? Because pride got in between them. If he had asked his wife, "Who is this person who came every night?" "Our child told me about him. I am suffering so much, my darling. You have to help me. Explain to me who this person is." If he had done that, his wife would have had a chance to explain, and the drama could have been avoided. However, it was not his fault, but that of his young wife as well. She could have come to him and asked him the reason for his change in attitude. "Husband, why do you look at me? Why don't you look at me anymore? Why don't you talk to me? Have I done something awful and I deserve such treatment? I'm suffering so much, dear husband. You have to help me. She did not do this, and I do not want you to make the same mistake in your everyday life. We are subject to misperceptions every day, so we have to pay attention. Every time you think it is somebody else who is causing the suffering, you must remember this story. You must always check things out by going to the person in question and asking for his or her help. Dear one, I am suffering so much. Help me, please. And whilst there might be a bit of Shakespearean tragedy to that parable, it also highlights the mask wearing and how we behave as humans, and when pride does get in the way like that, we can't heal. And so my question is what did that bring up for you in your life? Was it the mask of keeping the peace? Were you the peacemaker, always going along to please others? Or was it keeping the silence like the husband and the wife? And my challenge is, where has pride and therefore wearing a mask, not speaking your truth, where has that got in the way of life and of happiness? And so my question, what did that stuff bring up for you? I might just be quiet for a minute and let you have a think about that. And if anyone would like to share, I'd love to hear your thoughts. For instance, what I would say is that I've been both of those in my life and in my relationships. The keeping the peace person, just to get along and make sure everything was fine. And also the keep the silence person, the punisher. How dare you do that to me? I'm not going to talk to you. I'm withdrawing my love. Both are destructive to my own self. Anything else come up for anyone else?
Yeah, I had some things come up for me on a really deep level, more so the resonance of my soul and past experiences that have led me to where I am today on a karmic level, with receiving lessons the hard way, I guess. But realizing that I've found a lot more balance in this life, and realizing that my experience is solely based on my perception. So always being mindful of that has really helped me get through some really tough experiences that I ultimately created for myself.
Was that freeing for you, Lexi, that switching of that perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to take more responsibility and realizing it wasn't outside of me or others, but things that I had the ability to change within myself. It was definitely freeing and empowering would be a good word. Some people run from that, I think, the responsibility or the awareness of your projections, but I've always found it more so relieving, being able to know that you are the master of your reality and your experience.
Yeah, that's really good. I totally agree with you. I mean, I find it much easier to punish than to, or I have in the past at least, much easier to punish than in silence than to take that responsibility of saying, hey, look, I'm struggling here, help me through this.
Right, it's a very humbling experience and strength, I think, and character.
Mm. Yeah, thanks for that, Lexi.
Absolutely.
Anyone else?
Max said, for sure, experience both at different times. And Christine said, keeping the peace is probably the thing that I have done the most.
Mm. Yeah, and when I would probably say something very similar to that, and as I reflect on that and try and, I guess, heal that, I just look back, and if I had, as Lexi suggested, been more empowered and gone about it the right way, not in a this is what you've done to me, but in a, dear one, I'm struggling, help me through this, this is what I'm feeling. There's massive healing of that part of us, I think, if we do that. And it's hard to do, though. You feel that emotion deeply. It's like a wounding, and it's almost like your whole focus and energy is drawn to just putting the bandage on, or the band-aid on, to stop the bleeding that you feel of the damage that someone has done to you. When being more empowered with a different perspective is so much more liberating. Anyone else, Grace? Any other comments? Have you got anything come up for you then?
Yeah, well, for me, on the flip side of that, because for me, pride comes in the way for me, because, hey, you know what? I can do this by myself, and I can do it in silence. And so that's actually pride, because pride you can look in different forms. Pride as in you puff up yourself that you're magnificent, you're it. But also the other sense of pride is that I can do this on my own. I don't need to ask for help. And so for me, embracing my shadows and looking at my shadows, there's times that I can't do it by myself. It takes for me to actually look at my shadows, and sometimes I can't do it on my own. So it takes humbleness on my part to actually surrender and say, actually, it's okay to go and ask for help. And that's my challenge, is to actually do that, and looking at those shadows, because I can talk to the shadows by myself. I can deal with it by myself. But there's other times that you do need someone else to come next to you. And that takes, for me, that takes huge humbleness to say, to actually reach out, put your hand out and say, it's okay, that someone else's hand is there for me to grab hold of. Because I can get so self-absorbed in my own shadow. I can swallow it up and all that jazz. But again, for me to just soften, to go weak and to surrender, that's a form for me, is to bring down my pride, and that I can do by myself.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it may not be keeping the peace or keeping the silence. It's just that stubbornness, almost that pride, that stubbornness, that no, I'm okay, I'll push through. It's the same energy behind it, though, isn't it?
It's a very much same energy. It's kind of a suicide. So I've had this kind of a silent suicide in myself, and it is suicide. Whether it's a form of, committing suicide physically, but I'm committing suicide spiritually because of my pride, my stubbornness, and that I can do it all. But that's why we have one another. We have each other to reach out to, and God, source, will always bring someone along. It could be a stranger. It could be someone, most of the time for me, now I've learned to really ask for help, and I just, ask the universe, just bring someone to me, preferably someone that I don't know, because by that means that you observe me, you know my shadows, and that someone can just come next to me and really lift me up out of my pit, out of my miry clay. But I've only learnt that for the last few years, to be honest with you, where before that I was just silent and doing my own thing and committing suicide in my own self. But again, I've recognized that now it's just another form of pride.
Mm. And I think for me, in sharing that parable and this discussion, if we're all at different stages of that journey and of that point of looking inwards at at ourselves, and so if that story and this discussion can help you look at where in your life you might be doing that, then that's that first part of that healing. You might be sitting there thinking at the moment, well, I don't really do that, or but if you can look and find something in your life where that pride has been an issue, like I said, that's the first kind of step, hopefully, in the chaos of the world, and finding some stillness in that, and finding some of that healing. Grace, was there any other comments there? I can't see the chat.
That's it.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks everyone. That was really good. All right. So as Warren said at the start, in his giggling at my discomfort, I did have a moment of stillness on Thursday. Actually, no, it wasn't. I got the shits, and I got the shits with work at about, I don't know, 1:30 or 2 o'clock or something. Can't remember, sometime in the afternoon. I just went and laid on my bed and felt grumpy and miserable, and hating of the world and hating everyone. I just sort of felt into that, and I don't know why, but I started to write. And what I wrote was, I actually wanted to write a story in poem form, so I want to share that with you. And I shared it with Jenny, my wife, when I wrote it on Thursday or Friday, whenever it was. Maybe I wrote it Thursday, edited on Friday, showed her when she was at work on Friday. It brought a tear to her eye, and she did ask me afterwards, is this your story? And I went, yeah, kind of is, but it's kind of humanity's story as well. And I think that's part of any story. It's, you get inspiration from inwards, but also from outwards, and looking at it. So what I'm sharing with you is kind of new, hot off the press as of late last week. So it's called A Note from an Old Man. And it goes like this. It says, "The old man groaned as he sat in his chair. A sharp inward breath, a hand through his thinning hair. He sighed real deep and gave a wise, weary smile of hope. Took out pen and paper, and here's what he wrote. To my younger self, when I arrive here next time round, I don't want to be lost, but be a free soul, already found. Let yourself not worry so much. Go on, breathe, smile a lot more. There's fun to be had here if you give up keeping score. Think with your heart, son. Get out of your head. Connect to the real you. Enjoy the tears you shed. Because it's okay to be soft, feel deep, say the unbearable. Your real strength, if you let it, is being true and ever vulnerable. You don't have to man up, puff out your chest, a brave BS front. Speak your truth, be real. It's more than just a stunt. The world will try its best to break you, drag you right down. Stay true to you, feel deep, know that love always abounds. And there will be times when the path ahead is hard to see. Choose self-honesty, always, young man. It's the way to be free. Because those rules, expectations, and judgments damage you slow. Don't get pulled down. They'll try hard to keep you real low. Hear this loud, you're free to choose in every moment yet. Nothing's chained you up, freedom's yours, don't you forget. There'll be voices calling, yanking you right off your course. Listen not, and when you fall, get up and back on your heart horse. The world is full of a million fun, shiny and wondrous things. Let go, dive in, give your all, spread your glorious wings. Because it's not life playing safe, sitting watching from the fence. All that happens is you shut down, switch off, and live life real tense. When you choose work, hear not what others might tell you you want. It's your life and lessons, feel them, learn, but stay sane, be nonchalant. Enjoy it all then, even though spiky, painful, or annoying little bits. Work and contribution are good, even if at times it gives you the shits. But if you live true to your beautiful, strong, and pure heart space, those crappy feelings never win, let alone keep up the pace. For when you dance, sing, run, and love all anew, it's those moments you'll see the glory of the real you. I'm weary from my mistakes, so let me leave you these final thoughts. The heaviness I felt, the weight I carried, and the pain they did wrought. I want that not for you next time round, can't you see? If only I'd had this letter when I woke up and saw it was me. And I guess what it meant for me, it was, if I reflect on what those words were, and again, Jenny asked if she could show it to a work colleague at work, and I said, yeah, and she said, wow, how do you just sit down and do that? And my answer to that is, I don't know. The words just come. But to me, it's a story about living in your heart versus living in your head. I've spent most of my life living in my head. It's now only, like Ray suggested, the last few years, I've been more aware of my heart space and the power behind that. And so that verse, think with your heart, son, get out of your head, connect to the real you, enjoy the tears you shed. Any of those emotions I've squashed all my life, because it's okay to be soft, feel deep, say the unbearable. Your real strength, if you let it, is being true and vulnerable. And that's one thing that I've hated all my life, is being vulnerable, and I've squashed that down and pushed it away, and it hasn't served me well. The other part of that too is, you don't have to man up, puff out your chest, a brave BS front, speak your truth, be real. It's more than just a stunt. Warren and I have talked about this, in this forum, that it's being a male, you do have to puff your chest out and be the macho sort of guy. The world will try its best to break you, drag you right down. Stay true to you, feel deep, know that love always abounds. It's pretty hard in because I went to an all-boys school as well. You got beat up if you if you're a soft cock like that. The other part that really resonated for me was that path ahead, and there'll be times when the path ahead is hard to see. I'm kind of in that space now, to be blunt. Choose self-honesty, always, young man. It's the way to be free. And that's one of my challenges right now as I transition out of business more into the creative word / healing / teaching space. The path isn't easy to see. And the rules, expectations, judgments, they pull me down. So that really resonates with me. And I think too, it's only in those moments of stillness that there are bonds and chains that are self-imposed. And so hear this loud, you're free to choose in every moment yet. Nothing's chained you up, freedom's yours, don't forget. And again, Jen and I were talking about this morning about, well, what's next? Where does this go? And it's especially as a guy, but it is, I'm still letting go, still processing, still loving that part of myself, that breadwinner kind of thing. I'm slowly getting better at it and releasing it. Because look, it says there'll be voices calling, yanking you right off course. Listen not when and when you fall, get up and back on your heart horse. That heart horse has been really difficult for me to ride all my life. And what this really relates to is the old DeMartini thing of whatever you have loved, and whatever you have not loved runs your life until you do. And whatever you hold back holds you back. And whatever you bury buries you, and whatever you resist persists, and whatever you condemn you breed, attract, or become, and whatever you infatuate with you undermine. And so that whole poem is a story. It's my story. I think it's humanity's story as well, in terms of how we don't heal, we don't look at our stuff, we don't unpack our shit enough, we do what other people think we should do, we listen to the way it should be. And those two words, well, that word "should" in particular, is something that's conditional, full of force, not full of flow. And but for me, there's a lot in there that really, it makes me reflect on what in myself and what in my journey haven't I loved that I'm still repeating. And I guess that's my challenge to you in this moment today, with all of these shifting energies and all of the stuff that's gone on this year and all of the craziness and the unstillness. It still gets back to us and our soul, and what haven't you loved that you're repeating? And I'd just love you to have a reflect on that. What did this bring up for you? I might put that back up. So yeah, what did this bring up for you? I'm going to be quiet for a little bit and just give you time to reflect on that. Are you repeating stuff? Are you not loving stuff? Is it running your life? So I'm going to be quiet now and just let you have a think about that. All right. Would anyone like to share anything? What came up for you, or particularly what haven't you loved, or what are you trying to bury? What are you resisting? Chat or mic's okay.
Yes, Steve, that really was something to reflect on, and I really feel for me it's that I don't value myself enough, and it keeps coming up all the time, and it manifests in a different way. By not speaking out, not speaking my truth, and that's probably the biggest way. And then I realised that when you were talking about that if I value myself enough, there's no problem speaking out, because that would be my highest value, looking after myself. And so it manifests in every different department, really. So that's what came up for me when I looked at that. Every verse really is all about valuing yourself, for improving your health, speaking out, looking after your business, your wealth, and just enjoying yourself. That's what it's all about. But it all goes back to valuing yourself.
Yeah, thanks for that, Christine. The great irony too is in what you're sharing. You're a highly successful woman, right? You know, like this is, I guess, the duality of us living here, right? You know, if you had as a 5 or a 10-year-old said, well, by the time I'm whatever age, I'm going to have achieved all this stuff, you would have gone, wow, that's really cool. And yet we've got that duality of, it doesn't matter what you've done or who you are, it's that self-worth thing. I'd say it frustrates the hell out of me. It really does. And that's, you're dead right. That's part of me loving that part of me and not trying to bury that or not trying to resist that. So thank you. That's really good. Anyone else?
Yeah, what that brought up for me specifically highlighted was I'm still fairly young. However, I feel like I've sat with a lot of those feelings already. Almost like torturing myself with a lot of that. And the biggest difference I've made in my life, and the reason that those things do not affect me on that level anymore, would be my spiritual connection and the awareness of the eternal spirit within. And I catch myself thinking about this a lot, just how many people who are older, who have lived their life and have a lot of time to just sit and reflect by themselves, and how much I feel in the collective loneliness and separation and misunderstanding, and how directly correlated being depressed and disconnection from a higher awareness and unity and spirit interlays with each other. And also, things that really bother me the most are, well, ignorance in other people, which obviously has a lot to do with, I guess, some type of ignorance I'd be showing in myself. With as much spiritual awareness and knowledge that I do have, still catch myself slipping in a more physical 3D sense. I really struggle with this structure and paradigm. So learning to coexist has been a big thing for me. I'm not feeling like an outsider. And choosing to love people, not being so critical. I feel like that's a big, I imprison myself with being judgmental or critical sometimes.
Thank you for sharing that. And you're right, it is a prison.
Yeah.
That being critical or judging, and it's one of my default positions as well.
Yeah, it's like a superiority complex I've realized within myself. I'm not sure exactly where it stems from, but I do know that it has separated me a great deal from being able to connect with others the way I would like to.
I can. Mine comes from my mother and the Catholic guilt thing. Always looking for the sin and then the salvation of things. I know that's where my judgment comes from. It comes from religion.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah. As an empath and a people pleaser, as a little boy, I swallowed all of that shit in bucket loads, and it's ruled my life.
Right.
But I do connect to that, where you said that feeling of that judgment and what a prison it is, and it's so automatic and a default position too, at least from my experience. It always has been.
Yeah, the awareness of that stance has been helpful to at least acknowledge it, to work on moving past it.
Yeah, thanks for that, Lexi. That's really good.
Absolutely.
Anyone else?
Max says it was like not loving the lower nature or people I've judged as losers, and therefore parts of me I judge as a loser.
I just had a little giggle there, Max, when, people you judge as a loser. I mean, yeah, guilty. Yeah, oops, better have a look at that one.
See, looking at your poem, Steve, just rereading it through, for me, it's it's a matter of gain and loss. And in my experience along these years, is that if I value something so much, how much do I dread losing it? So the sense of loss. If I lose what I value the most, how would I feel? And also the pleasure that it gives me, the freedom, how much more painful it will be its loss as well. So if I feel so good and it makes me feel so good, then if it disappears, the pain for me is massive. So am I willing to actually dive into it more? And in my freedom also, whatever I want to do, I'll just do. But knowing that it's going to cost someone else, it's going to cause jealousy, envy, all these human traits, because I have my freedom. And so if someone next to me doesn't feel that freedom, they will feel the chain around them. So then it comes back to me being, if I move in the rescue mode, I can see the pain. I can feel the pain in my freedom, because I know I have no restrictions. But in seeing my freedom, I can feel their sense of displeasure and absolute massive loss. So do I move forward? Do I keep going? And do I push through in my own freedom, knowing that they don't know how to free themselves? So those are the questions that I ask myself. And at the end of the day, we all have our own journey. We all have our own path. But I also feel it. I feel someone else's pain, in that the more freedom I feel and the higher that I go, then I feel the shackles. I feel, like you said in your poem, just get out there, just be your authentic self. just feel the air, feel the wind, feel life. And so as I feel the life in myself, I know that there are others don't know how to do it. And so do I push further in, knowing that I will feel their pain because they don't know how to do it. So that's the gain and loss that I feel. And so for my journey, like the more I push in and the more I feel those freedom, well, perhaps the light within me, the freedom that I feel internally, perhaps it will cause some effects in them energetically. But then again, that's a process as well, a process of knowing that it's going to be okay for them too, because as they work on themselves and being aware, they'll feel the freedom as well. So my responsibility for me in that transformation, that I don't feel that gain or the loss in whatever I value in myself and in my freedom and everything, and having fun in life. Because if I have fun, there'll be guarantee that there's others that don't know how to have fun, that still feel trapped in that house, that's still sitting on that fence and don't know how to do it. So I feel that too. So again, it's just, the more you value something, the more you'll dread its loss.
That's that attachment, isn't it? That 3D world attachment.
Yeah. And also my finding is that the more I pursue my purpose and the more I'm clear in my purpose, then someone else is not clear either. So there's always that balancing thing. And also there's always a price, e.g. me following my own purpose. William has said this to me many times, he said, I've never been a maternal mother for him. So he never had that sense of motherly feeding off me as a mother, as a earthly mother. But in the spiritual realm, he feels absolutely connected with me. But as a mother, he's never felt that with me. So again, the pursuit of the purpose too. So there's always the price in that. But again, the way I see it is, well, if I continue and be more clear, then William, on the other hand, will feel that too, that he knows my purpose and that we can have the difference in the 3D to, the spiritual side. So there's that thing of just summarising your poem, and your poem is such a heartfelt too, Steve.
Thank you, Grace. Any thanks for that. Yeah, that duality thing and that attachment is a really tough one. Anyone else? Anything else come up for anyone? No? Okay. All right. Let's keep moving on. I found this the other day too, which I really loved. It kind of gave some context. So just going back, so just looking at that stuff as necessary as that is to heal our souls and to get on our path and to to take steps towards ascension and so forth. As necessary as that is, it's also pretty shitty, to be honest. And I love this because it really kind of summarizes that shitty feeling. And it reads, nobody ever talks about this part, the part where you're no longer a caterpillar and not yet a butterfly. You don't know who you are and you don't know where you're going. All you know is that every fiber of your being is calling for transformation, for disruption, for a revolution of the spirit. So surrender, break down. This is not the death of you. This is the dying of who you once were. This is your rebirth, darling. And these are called growing pains. And, so Warren giggling at me at the start about how shitty I was on Thursday and Friday, whenever it was. Okay, they're growing pains. Geez, I felt shitty though. But it's interesting. You're right. No one ever, well, that's right. No one ever talks about that part. But God, when you're going through it, you really feel that, you know, that pain. You know, it's yeah, it just puts in perspective all of that stuff. And so I just wanted to finish the third of my I suppose stimuli to get you thinking about healing the soul and finding stillness in an unstill world. This is more of less of a provocation and more of almost a bit of a healing thing. It's the Navajo Beauty Prayer, and it's from Greg Braden's book, The Wisdom Codes. And I'll just read out a couple of sections of what he says here. He says, through an eloquence that's typical of such ancient wisdom, Navajo tradition describes a way of looking at life's extremes that places the responsibility for your happiness as well as our suffering squarely upon our shoulders. He said the powerful code forms the closing prayer of the Blessing Way ceremony, one of the 6 ceremonies intended to bring harmony to the cosmos and all things in it. And he said he got this from a guy called a Navajo artist called Shonto Begay. And he says in the code, he offers 3 brief phrases, which is from a longer work, but 3 brief phrases, with each phrase illuminating a key insight into our power to shift the chemistry of the body and influence the way we see our world. And it goes like this. It says, the beauty that you live with, the beauty that you live by, the beauty upon which you base your life. And Greg Braden says that through these words for centuries, Navajo elders have conveyed a sophisticated wisdom, reminding their people and us now of the connection between our inner and outer worlds, a connection that has been recognized only recently by modern science. Each phrase of this prayer describes one facet of our relationship with beauty and what the embrace of beauty can mean to our lives. The key here is that we must invite the power of beauty into our lives. A closer look at the wisdom code, phrase by phrase, reveals the subtle nuances of the prayer and why it holds so much power. And he just goes into it, and I'll just quickly go through that. So I'll go through the bigger. So this is the longer version of it, and it goes: in beauty I walk, with beauty before me I walk. With beauty behind me I walk. With beauty above me I walk. With beauty around me I walk. It has become beauty again. 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 And I think for me, in an unstill world, it's easy to see the ugliness and forget the beauty that is here. And so this is just a way, I guess, of bringing us back to that beauty and helping us find that stillness within. And so the 3 things, the beauty that you live with, Greg Braden explains it. He says this phrase is a key to remind us, so just go to that, to remind us that we don't create the beauty that is present in the world. It already exists. And while not all things are necessarily beautiful, there is a beauty that may be found in all things and in every situation. Our job is to find that beauty, to seek it out even when it's not apparent. To do so is a choice, from the deeply personal loss of loved ones to the crises of health and relationship that appear in our lives. Finding beauty is the key to making sense of the seemingly senseless events of life. He says, each time we choose to see the beauty that's possible or already present in the hurt, loss, disappointments, and betrayals of life, we are making the choice to take back our power rather than be defined by the situation. When they say the beauty that I live with, or the beauty that you live with, and we are acknowledging this fact and making the choice to see the beauty that exists in everything. And then the second phrase, the beauty that you live by. He says, the second line of the prayer reminds us of the significant role that beauty may play in our lives. When we live searching for and expecting to discover beauty in everything that life shows us, we begin to see the polarities of the world and ourselves in a new light. While we can't change what has already happened, as we acknowledge life's tragedies, we also recognize that within each experience, there is a beauty that balances the extremes. And then the third and last line of the shortened version of it, the beauty upon which you base your life. He says this next phrase is a code that guides us beyond simply finding the beauty that exists in all things. It leads us to the next step of giving that beauty greater significance in our life. With no words of explanation, no rationalization, and no justification, great masters such as Mother Teresa choose to see beauty everywhere and in all things. To them, it was already present. It was everywhere, always. Through their lives, we're reminded that our job is to discover that beauty. Life has our opportunity to seek beauty and to embrace the beauty that we discover in all things, from the deepest hurts to the greatest joys, to become the standard to which we hold our lives and ourselves. He says, when we base our life upon the principle of beauty and allow it to become the foundation of our worldview, we are changed as people. Our choice to do so replaces our hurt, hopelessness, and fear with the transformative power that beauty makes possible. And it's not just our imagination. Our willingness to embrace the beauty in all things literally directs our neurons to reflect our choice. Our cells begin to seek other cells that hold the same chemical balance and connect to create the new neural pathways that elevate our perspective above the fray of the experience. Through the words of the Navajo author, whose name was forgotten long ago, which have been handed down from person to person and through ceremony after ceremony for centuries, the power and simplicity of this prayer offers renewed hope when all else seems to fail. And he then says that just personally, in times of need, when I find myself reeling from the shock of a world tragedy or the loss of a loved one, or I'm feeling the emotional impact of a difficult relationship, I typically use this brief form of the beauty prayer as my go-to version. So the beauty that you live with, the beauty that you live by, the beauty upon which you base your life. And he says that the beauty prayer word code is a blueprint for how we can choose to see beauty in everyday life. The application is clear. The instructions are precise. In our high-tech era of internet connectivity and miniaturized circuits that fit onto a credit card chip, it may be easy to overlook the power that choice brings in our lives. Within the quantum understanding of a world where our inner beliefs become our outer world, what technology could be simpler or more powerful than the power of choice? And he says that the power of wisdom codes comes from their repetition and doing so in the affirmative rather. This imprints a code upon the subconscious mind. He said the key is to embrace this code with a focus of awareness, breath, and feeling in the heart rather than the mind. So yeah, that's I just wanted to finish up with that as I guess as a way of bringing balance to the challenges of the first two, the tragedy, and then the poem about the old man. So the beauty that you live with, the beauty that you live by, the beauty upon which you base your life. He also says you can just transfer the word you for I there, and it has a similar effect. So the beauty that I live with, the beauty that I live by, the beauty upon which you base your life. It's just a nice little adjunct to balance the unstillness of this world. All right, before I finish up with oracle card reading, and then just a couple of rule number 6 things. Any questions, comments, observations, things you'd like to add or share? No one? Okay.
Lexi says, beauty is the life principle and divine nature present in all beings and things.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Lexi, because and again, if I go back to that, when you're going through this evolution and you feel like shit and you're confused, it can be easy just to ignore that and get caught up in the unstillness of everything. And so I've resisted looking at or sharing that wisdom code because it seemed to me just too simple. But I think in that simplicity is the power of it. just finding that beauty. So thanks, Lexi. That's really good.
Mm. And Miko broke it to be you till full. And she says hello, for she joined late. And Max, thank you, Steve. That was awesome. Beauty is another great standard. And Lexi says she agrees. Wonderful message. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, my comment too is when those different things about the caterpillar and the butterfly, it's very true, you know, and you don't really know when you become a butterfly. It's more just one day you wake up and I think you start to realize you're one because people are telling you you're one. But when you think you're now a butterfly and you must be, you probably aren't. That's my theory. The whole nature of transformation, it's a bit ugly at times. Like when you watch a caterpillar, it's not fun because you're shedding off layers, you're having to fight off old energies and remove things. So transformation is actually pretty ugly, and it sounds like a really beautiful word, but it actually isn't. It's actually quite an ugly word, really. So when you actually go through the process, but afterwards you feel really great once you've been through transformation, but going through it is anything but great. And it's like I told my Pilates instructor, she goes, I hope you still love me halfway through a workshop. I go, I never like you when I'm doing a Pilates workout. I said, I loathe you and I don't like you one little bit, but afterwards I think you're the greatest.
I just want to add that too, Warren, with your butterfly thing. By the time you realize you're a butterfly, you're dead, I reckon. You've ascended, because it's only, what, a lifespan of a butterfly is 3 days? I just want to add that in. You go on to your next phase.
Thanks for that, Warren. I agree, but I'll be a little bit more blunt. The transformation is fucking horrible. There you go.
Exactly. It's fun watching you go through it, though.
You're looking, I like the colours that's coming through you, Steve. They're beautiful.
Oh, the butterfly colours, yeah. Oh, fuck off. Yeah. They're horrible. They don't look great right now, right? They don't feel great right now.
No, you look like a deformed caterpillar right now, Steve. But I'm sure you'll soon be a butterfly.
No, I feel it. Thanks for your confidence, Warren. I feel it though. Okay, so I felt led for the group to do a couple of readings. One from the Archangel Michael one, the Blue Angel deck, which I'll just finish with, but this one from the Rumi deck, and I have read from that before. That it came out with card 44, Merciful Mother Jamal, and it's interesting. I'm seeing a lot of 4s at the moment. Look at the clock, and it's 4:44. You know, things like that. I'm just seeing a lot of 4s, and so there's kind of a little bit of synchronicity here. Anyway, here's what the Oracle card deck says. It says, you blazing angel, capable of so much, you evoke the testing hand of life. Why not when you cannot fail? Yet in your sweet surrender, how can the great beloved not respond in kind and offer you solace, comfort, and mercy? For all success must be hard won. And I think that aligns with the caterpillar analogy. It's not easy. Can you imagine this? The sweet face of the all-powerful. It shines upon you as the love emanating from the Holy Mother's eyes, the golden radiance of her body and the gentleness of her touch. This is your birthright now, your divine inheritance, the mercy of the all-merciful. Let it soften the hard edges of your life and your being and bring to you the grace that is deserved. And so with that as a backdrop, it goes into the actual oracle itself. It says, this oracle brings you a message. There is a shift taking place now in a matter of great importance to you, from Jalal to Jamal, from justice to mercy. This is your path, your destiny, and your blessing, now opening up before you. It may be a particular pattern matter. However, it likely includes your entire life orientation. You are being granted refuge, respite, and shelter from the storms of struggle and doubt, and being given a divine sanctuary of safe harbor. You shall find that the unraveling of the struggle and pain now happens through tenderness, a gentler approach. And I think we could probably all say amen to that. Thank God, about time, etc. So the synchronicity here with this, I just find fascinating as well. I drew this at about, I don't know, 9 or 9:30 this morning, I think, my time, maybe a little bit earlier. It says, you are also being asked to take stock of your own thoughts and attitudes. Having to be tough and play hardball in the past has served its purpose, yet this oracle comes to you with guidance to become softer in your way and your attitude. And again, relating to the beauty in the beauty wisdom code as well. Can you gently but firmly place to one side the judge within? There's that word judge again. The one who keeps score and demands retribution, an eye for an eye, the exponent of absolute justice. Can you invite instead the one who gentles the aggressive lord within and allows him to bow before the great lady who loves, is wise, and who steadies the workings of the world for the softest of touches? Don't fear that if you suddenly give yourself a break, all your discipline, hardness, toughness, and suffering will go to waste. No, all things provide learning and serve divine purpose, but now there is no reason to continue in that way. In this time, it is time to learn another way. You are strong enough now to become gentle. If there is a foe to fight in your life, ask for the Mother of Mercy to bless it into resolution. If you have also drawn the hand of no, we haven't, you have been told that you now can stand your ground and remain in your strength without having to become aggressive or hard. You have more power than you realize, and it is in your being. It is not in your ability to control others or manipulate situations, for such actions are unworthy of being of your magnitude and are unnecessary for your success. You are also being given the message that your prayers are powerful. Although action in the world is a part of your soul purpose and plan, when you pray with conviction that your prayers are real, are heard, and are responded to by the great universal heart. So pray carefully and thoughtfully. Be present, speak as if you were speaking to your dearest, your dearest, oldest, and most influential and powerful friend. Because, of course, that is exactly what you are doing. Pray from the heart and trust in the power of your prayers. There is no limit to what you can pray about. Nothing too unspiritual, unworthy, nothing. So pray. This oracle brings you the message that the great power of compassion is reaching for you, that it wants to help you, but is waiting for you to ask. So ask, then you shall receive. So for me, there are many synchronicities with that that drawing and that reading based on what we've been speaking about today. Then there is a sacred honouring ritual at the end, and I'll invite you just to read along with me, or just follow as I read through it. It says, with a hand on your heart, and I've got my hand on my heart now. Say, I call upon Jamal, Mother of Mercy, upon Rumi, who loves me unconditionally, and ask for your grace, intervention, and blessing now in all matters of my life. I accept the help of the great universal compassion seeking to bestow itself upon me now. Thank you. And then it says, if there is a particular issue with which you are struggling, you may also like to speak of that specifically for a few moments in your prayer. So I'll just be quiet while you make your own prayer about a particular issue that you are struggling with or you want help with at this moment. So I'll be quiet for a sec. And then it just says, when you are ready, rest with both hands at your heart for as long as feels good. So we might just do that to anchor in the prayer. All right, and that completes the honouring ritual for that particular reading. As I said, I also did a reading from the Blue Angel. That's Archangel Michael, obviously. Tony Carmine Salerno is a painter and publisher and writer in Melbourne. He runs Blue Angel Publishing, one of my favourite publishing houses in this esoteric realm, and that's the back of the card, as I've shown you before. The reading this morning, interestingly, it was Healing Angel and the Peace card. and I noticed too, it's the angel there is holding the world at their heart space, and peace and stillness are very similar. And here's the message from that. It says, accepting life as it is brings peace and healing. You can start to heal both yourself and our planet through acceptance. Yet acceptance does not mean that you give up on attempting to improve things. It simply means accepting that there may be a higher purpose to things, even though we do not see it. Regardless of your situation, peace is possible now. It will never be any more or less possible than now. Life will continue its course, driven by a will higher than our own. Little we do will ever change that, and yet we can change our perception of our circumstances and surroundings, and this will make a difference. And Walt Whitman's little quote there, the future is no more uncertain than the present, which is a nice perspective as well. And again, I reflect on the synchronicity of that message based on what we've spoken about today. You could substitute the word there, peace, for stillness, and it would be, completely relevant for today. So hopefully there is something in both of those readings for you to take with you as you head out into your week. And so then just a quick recap. We did speak about messages from the heavenlies. We had a discussion about those shifting energies. The fourth mantra was the parable about pride, the poem, A Note from an Old Man, and then the Navajo beauty prayer. And we had the oracle card reading. And now can't take life too seriously, so I've found two interesting photos. The first one, because I'm a bit of a dog lover, I got a bit of a kick out of, and the second one is terribly politically incorrect for these times, but I thought it was hilarious. So that's the first one. Clearly that shit doesn't work. So yeah, I won't be buying one of those, I don't think. Being sort of a one-time journalist way back when, I kind of appreciate a good headline and being a copywriter, but you can see here, cops beat Chinese man after asking for his name. I've lost all faith in our police, says fuck you. Some people just have too much time on their hands, clearly, in thinking up these things, but I got quite a giggle out of that one. The final thought for today, it says, think of yourself as a human magnet. We're constantly attracting what you speak, think, and feel. And again, my mind goes back to the beauty prayer, from Greg Braden's Wisdom Codes. If we're seeing beauty, if we're thinking beauty, if we're feeling beauty, there's a really good chance that we are attracting it. However, I think it's pertinent to note we still have to do the work in looking at our shadows and looking at at our challenges and the parts of ourselves that we haven't loved before, to make that happen. And then from the Arcturian 9D Council, I found this interesting message as well. It says, that is why we'll continuously invite you to do what brings you the most joy, what lights you up and turns you on. We will continue to invite you to look within yourselves, to connect with nature and Mother Earth, and we will do so because we know that when you are in a more relaxed or more joyous state, you are far more receptive to what you want and what we want to give you. So there's a message there, I think, about stillness from the Arcturians. And that's just about me done. So namaste. I will, the light in me recognizes the light in you. I will hand back to you, Grace and Warren, and or Warren.
1221 as you finish, Steve, the Ascension Code. 1221.
It is too. Bloody hell. Synchronicities, Warren, synchronicities.
Yep. So we're definitely continuing the synchronicities and ascension. 1221, wow. That was amazing timing. You weren't even watching the clock, were you?
Nope.
Nope.
Because it's 2:21 here, so. So yeah, no, I wasn't watching the clock.
Nope. So, Grace, I don't know about you, but I reckon it was fantastic. It was just, as usual, a really good differing perspective and different food diet, basically, for us.
Well, what can I say? As I said, right from the very beginning, you can feel Steve's heart you have a sense of where he's at and his rawness, being authentic. It really came through. The frequency really came through, and so I felt that everyone's hearts just melted because we're all on the same boat. We're kind of a similar journey. We're on this narrow path, and no one is exempt. So it's no, I certainly enjoyed the share. Thanks, Steve.
Pleasure, Grace. Hope everyone got something out of that.
Yeah, so I reckon, Warren, bring up a code, one of your funky new codes, and finish off with the energy work. Steve's done some ploughing this morning.
Yeah. Why not?
I feel everyone's a bit mushy, soft in the chest and open.
Yes, thanks to
Fiona
Steve.
says the green one. Well, the green one, Fiona.
I don't know what she means by green.
Which green?
There's many green ones.
Get your new cut. Get some fresh ones, Warren. Fresh meat, fresh manna.
Okay.
I'll use my bowl as well.
Yeah. And one we saw the other day for the first time. I don't quite know what Christine's talking about.
I think it's the one with the hexagon shape, and it's pretty pinkish, with lots of faces, lots of eyes.
What do you think
Is
of
that
that
the
one,
one,
Grace?
Christine? Can't see your screen.
Yeah. Was that an intercession, Christine, you mean?
Yeah,
Like
the one with the lots of eyes, lots of faces.
It looked like green velvet. That was, yeah, had lots of green velvet. And
I just sent you a message.
Yeah, but that kind of doesn't mean anything. Like the round green one with orange center. Yeah.
Yeah, I sent the picture of it to you in your message, Warren.
And Facebook.
Messenger, I think.
Okay, I'll have a look. Oh, yeah. Okay, now I know the one you mean. Well, get it up there and see what. I'll see what Grace reckons and what we feel, but yeah, there's a couple of choices. Let me just see if I can. Yeah. I think this is the one you mean, isn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
that was the one.
Yep.
There's that
I
one.
haven't seen
the
that
other
one. Wow.
Yeah, this is the other one I was thinking of, but yeah, well, maybe do this one. What do you reckon, Grace?
Yeah, absolutely. It's got the heart chakra, everything in there.
In the green one, yeah.
Yeah, that one. You haven't seen this one, Steve?
No.
Ah.
It's nice, hey?
Mm.
Don't think I have. Is that new?
Yeah, pretty new.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's going deeper today.
I know.
Can you feel its depth? It's actually got multi-layer depth to it today.
Yeah, it's moving, isn't it?
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Hi everyone. So I was talking to Grace privately, and something that I was explaining to her, because she was saying what you were saying early on at the webinar, how she felt that this morning something was upgraded and and she actually saw lights coming in and something actually happened to upgrade the planet. And there was some kind of, because what I was feeling on that code bin was crystals actually moving through me and old parasitic energies coming out of the earth and lifting out of me. And I was led yesterday morning myself. I feel it's been happening since yesterday morning, because I woke up and something was different. And I felt led to go into the Council of Nines and the Council of 12 and 144. And I was led to the Keys of Enoch and studying the different councils. And this happened after a session with Yvonne, and something upgraded quite significantly as I studied about the different councils at work. And as the day went on yesterday, I felt it increasing. And when I woke up this morning, I feel that something major has upgraded. And I'm being really led to study and speed it up to get the city of Enoch, the Ascension City of Enoch, really growing and building and accelerating. And Yvonne felt the same yesterday. Why am I sharing all this? Because I could feel the parasitic energies going out of me and activating me. And the biggest thing that I was led to is I've been getting led into the Keys of Enoch, and it's been opening up to me more than ever before. In the last few keys, there's a lot talking about the ascension time and what's happening. And one of the things they explained is that the lower forces in the lower heavenlies start getting cast out, which I actually was sensing has started to happen now. There's a lot of lower forms that have been cast out. So what this means is more beings are coming in now and able to activate the grids in the planet. There was, yesterday I had a visit from the Council of 144, who is a military order that oversees even the farther universes, the higher hierarchies of the higher universes beyond ours. So they oversee that one. So pretty senior beings who really turn up and said that there's a threat to Earth, and now they've come to basically end the threat. That was what they were. They come to equip people for the war and for the threat which is ahead. But the biggest thing that I saw was that they've been able to come through now, because there's lots of the lower beings have been cast out. Now, what it says in the Keys of Enoch, as they get cast out, they will end up moving into human bodies and incarnations. So for those on the ascension path, this is a time to really rejoice. It's a time for a lot of acceleration and ascension, which is starting to happen now. And it's getting easier. And I can feel it's starting to get easier now myself, just the last little bits and pieces, to hear and to see and to feel things and hear the higher voices of the councils. But for those who are, those attached to 3D, there's going to be a greater increase in dark forces and even physical incarnations coming upon Earth. That's what the Keys of Enoch says. So don't be surprised if the next coming months, and we've talked about it, is going to be a pretty interesting time, just in terms of activity going on, but also a much greater access to portals and openness to really keep accessing. So it's a great time right now to press in terms of just meditating a lot, tuning in, really allowing yourself to go deep, stillness, writing in journals, listening to your heart, and going through activations. And we're certainly going to start to increase that. And I was talking to William about this, to actually activate chakras, activate a lot of new codes we've got. Like, this is just one of them, but there's a lot of new codes we've been given that are very powerful for ascension, and getting ready to do a lot more of these in the City of Enoch. So Christine says, when Grace played the bowl, it sounded like a war march. Yeah, look, it's an introduction and a beginning to war. And Yvonne and I were given a message yesterday. I'll just see if I can find it. Just going to read what was given to me. So, I found it. So what they basically said was they basically only arrive when galaxies and planets that are very important are experiencing a threat. And so Earth is meant to shine as an emerald. So what this is saying is that only the heart can listen and receive the higher words. And they said more support is being given to the feminine and to the heart to allow the divine masculine to rise to take the kingdom. That's what it's actually saying. It says, we are here with you all. We wrote this down that we got it. For your bodies are experiencing clearings from old karmas. And that's certainly happening a lot with me. So if you're having pains in your body, if you're having unusual things, especially if you're led to fast and pray a lot right now, especially for divine protection. If you're living somewhere like for those in West Australia, if you're doing codings, activations, praying that the higher councils and giving thanks will surround our politicians, our leaders, our governments, allowing ourselves to experience clearing from all our old karmas. So, and what they said was we're getting everyone ready for the next essential acceleration happening in 2022. There's going to be a very, very big acceleration and things happening. And so lots going to happen in the next little while and in preparation. So they said, so basically it's preparing and getting ready for war, so to speak, and getting ready for, yeah, let me have a look here, what they said. Yeah, the old world was collapsing and a new world is being created right now. So this is all the stuff I've been getting led to and being led to read and experience. So yeah, Miko says she's been experiencing that. So yeah, there's a lot of changes happening. Who here has been going through changes and a bit of pain in your physical body, or just having unusual things happen in your body, being led to unusual diets, led to more fasting, cleansing? Anyone been going through that? Miko, yep. I knew Lexi has as well. She mentioned it to me this morning with diet. For me, that, yep. It's a wise time, Sam. Yeah, it's a wise time to be eating less, to allow your DNA, if you're being led that way, don't force it. But if you're being led, go with it. As your DNA changes, you will require less food and you will desire more nourishing foods. In the Keys of Enoch, it actually says that the 3 commands given to Enoch by Enoch to Hertak, one of them was to only eat very nourishing alive foods. Yuketswa gave the same command to Yogananda. So, yeah, so it's a good time to be eating less, and a good time, Christine says, body pain. Yep. Now I mentioned going through that in my foot as well. So it's been getting a lot better actually since I've just been meditating, nourishing and passing energy through it. Max, my dad told me he's what, sorry? Max is TAKAMM. Not sure what that means. Miko knee, yep. Alex, yep, feeling like I'm working out 3 times more than I have, yep. Taking a break from alcohol, yep, smart. Yeah, Hobing recommends eating nutritious food only. I agree with him, very much so, especially right now when you're doing any kind of activation work. And it's a time of waiting is the word I'm getting right now as I'm listening. It's just a time of waiting. It's just fasting, waiting, and a lot of cleansing and activation happening right now. Just a good time just to wait a lot. Wait on the Lord, the Bible says, which just simply means meditate. Put some music on and just allow yourself to just let go and go into a deep state. Just breathe gently. Sheldon, body pain, yep. Miko, led to be vegetarian, grow my own food, raise my own chickens. Yeah, I had the same conversation with Lexi this morning, apart from the raising chickens. So, yeah. Excellent, a lot of changes. So, I'm just going to finish off with a bit of a, for me, body feeling weird, less desire for processed food. Yeah, that's a really good sign for Meter, because your body is your karmic temple. The best way to think of it is your vehicle to function on this earth and do your work of service. And it's like your temple, and it's where you pass, and it's your vehicle to pass out your karma and release it. So yeah. So you're going to be led to, I just sense people are going to be led to a lot of meditation and fasting and prayer over the next little while, and just in some form, whatever it means to you, just go with it when it happens, and allow yourself just to wait and connect. Sam projected pyramids over my fruit and veg I got growing this morning. Yep. I just feel to finish off by reading just a little bit of Psalm 119, not all of it. It's the longest Psalm in the Bible, and we'll be here 15, 20 minutes if we read the whole one. But I'm just going to read just the first, some of the first verses, just a few of the early ones, and a few of the last ones. Blessed are the undefiled in the way who walk in the law of the Lord. Blessed are they that keep his testimonies and seek him with a whole heart. They do no iniquity as they walk in his ways. You've commanded us to keep your precepts diligently, that my ways were directed to keep your statutes. Then I would not be ashamed when I have respect unto your commandments. I will praise you with uprightness of heart when I have learned your righteous judgments. I will keep your statutes, forsake me not utterly. How shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed according to your word. With my whole heart I have sought you. Let me not wander from your commandments. I have hidden your words in my heart, that I might not sin against you. I'll just go down the bottom here. Let my cry, verse 169, come near before you, O Lord. Give me understanding according to your word. Let my supplication come before you. Deliver me according to your word. My lips shall utter praise when you've taught me your statutes. My tongue shall speak of your word, for all your commandments are righteousness. Let your hand help me, for I've chosen your precepts. I've longed for your salvation, O Lord, and your law is my delight. Let my soul live and it shall praise you, and let your judgments help me. I've gone astray like a lost sheep. Seek your servant, for I've not forgotten your commandments. I think it's a great way to finish today, and to give thanks that the Father is just bringing us back to him. Okay, any final things before we end today? Amen to Alex. Anyone else, anything final before we finish? No one? Okay, thanks Sheldon, thanks Christine, thanks everyone. And look forward to next time. See you all then.